That is the worst basketball game ever played.
NBA All-Star Weekend has been lackluster in recent years, to say the least. Aside from Mac McClung saving the dunk contest last year, fans have been disappointed, and the main reason for this disappointment is the lack of competitiveness. So what's the fix? Switch back to East versus West? Well, the NBA is going to try that again in 2024. We will see how it goes. If the switch back to East versus West doesn't work, what about more players at All-Star Weekend? New events? The NBA has to figure out if they should be making one All-Star Weekend event the best it could possibly be, or attempting to have a well-rounded weekend. What I mean by this is there's an easy fix, and that's to have a one-on-one king of the court style tournament. If the rest of the weekend is lacking in the spectacular, fans will still talk about how great the weekend was if the one-on-one tournament goes well. But a one-on-one tournament seems highly unlikely even though NBA fans want it. Why? For the same reasons that superstar and star players have avoided the dunk contest for years. The need for a break due to a long season, justifiable ego, and a lack of benefit to the player. The consequences of losing are too great compared to the consequences of winning. There are 4 possibilities that could happen if a talent such as LeBron James or Ja Morant competed in the dunk contest. The first is LeBron or Ja win the dunk contest, but people say that they were handed a win and didn't deserve to win because they are LeBron or Ja Morant. The second is LeBron or Ja Morant win the dunk contest and people say, of course they should have won. They're LeBron James or Ja Morant, essentially getting no credit for winning because that's the expectation. The third is LeBron or Ja lose the dunk contest and they get slandered by the media and social media as not being great dunkers and as failures. The fourth is LeBron or Ja lose the dunk contest because of poor judging or potential bias. Remember when D-Wade did this?
Looking at each other's scores too.
Man, this is easy.
Or when Aaron Gordon lost the dunk contest when he arguably deserved to win? Every scenario is then a net loss for the player. And that's what would happen in a one-on-one competition at All-Star Weekend. Players that are expected to win wouldn't get credit if they won, and if they lost, they get crushed by media and fans alike. Now, a lot of fans are going to ask, what happened to competitive spirit or competitive atmosphere? Who cares if the media or the fans talk a little bit of trash? The players should have the mentality of old and be mentally tough. But it's not just about being mentally tough, it's also about marketability. When a player gets slandered in the media by traditional media or by social media, it impacts their marketability. When a player's marketability takes a hit, their pockets take a hit. Now, is it right to think this way? I'll let you all answer that question. If the NBA isn't going to implement a king of the court tournament, how can the weekend be fixed so that fans, players, coaches, and league executives are all happy? I guess the better question is, can it be fixed? I can fix her using a combination of multiple factors that should aim to balance the weekend instead of putting all of the NBA's respective eggs in one basket. Let's start with the easiest fix: more players and coaches. JJ Redick mentioned this on his podcast,
which is why I think we need to increase the number of players who get this prestigious honor.
I completely agree. The NBA should expand to 15 players from each conference, and instead of 2 coaches, we're going to expand to 6 coaches. If that sounds like a lot of players and coaches, just bear with me, it'll all make sense. Okay, on to our second change, a new style of draft. We are going to take the top 6 vote getters regardless of position and make those 6 players our 6 captains. Those 6 captains are going to draft 4 teammates and 1 coach. And we're going to do away with the linear draft and go back to a snake draft. For example, in real life terms, last year LeBron got to select first every round of the starters and Giannis selected first every round of the non-starters. I'm not a fan of this, and I'd rather they do it like this. In the first round last year, it would have been LeBron first, Giannis second, Kevin Durant third, Stephen Curry 4th, Luka Doncic 5th, and Nikola Jokic 6th. In the second round, it would be inverse of this order. Jokic 1st, Luka 2nd, Steph 3rd, Durant 4th, Giannis 5th, and LeBron James 6th. We're also going to let the players draft any player. They can draft any player from the entire pool of players. They'll draft until all players are selected and each team has a starting 5, and then the coaches will be selected. Now, I know people like the draft happening right before the game like it's a pickup game. I am a fan of this, but I believe in order to create more hype among people who are not already NBA fans, the draft needs to happen on Friday night just before the Celebrity All-Star Game so that tensions and trash talk can be built up among the players and allow fans on social media to hype each of the teams created. It also gives coaches more impact because they can draw up plays specifically for the players they're going to have. In order for players to risk some sort of negative pushback from fans, there needs to be a monetary reward to match or exceed that possible negative pushback. Some of you might be saying, oh, they're NBA players. They get paid millions of dollars. They should be willing to to do this for no additional money. If you work at a job, you aren't doing extra tasks that might make you look bad unless the reward is great enough to take the risk. And it's also about getting rewarded as a fan. We want the best All-Star Game weekend. We should ask the NBA to do what it takes to make that happen. It's not money out of our pockets. I propose a $30 million prize pot for All-Star Weekend, with $20 million going towards the dunk contest and $6 million going toward the three-point contest. The All-Star Game will distribute $3.9 million to charity based on the results of the newly proposed All-Star Game tournament, and the skills competition won't have a payout for players, but the winning team will select a charity the NBA can donate $100,000 to. The dunk contest payouts will be: first place gets $10 million, second place gets $5 million, third place gets $3 million, and fourth place gets $2 million. The three-point contest will pay out $3 million for first, $2 million for second, and $1 million for third. Some of you might be saying, wow, that's a lot of money. And it is. There are 30 NBA owners, and I'm proposing a $30 million payout for the weekend. That's the equivalent of $1 million per owner. This next change is probably going to be a little confusing, and I'm guessing it's going to have the most pushback. One of the major problems with the dunk contest is judges giving players 50s when the dunk is more like a 49.5. The first change to the scoring system is making the scores go to the 10th place instead of being a whole number. For instance, instead of scores being 48 or 49, we might see scores of 48.7 or 49.8. The second change is where I believe I might get some pushback. I want bonus points to be awarded at the end of each round of dunks. At the end of each round, I'd have the judges rank all the dunks from first to fourth. You might be asking, why do this when they've already scored the dunks? Isn't it a little bit dumb to add extra points after the player's dunks have already been scored? I'll give a quick analogy. Imagine you're asked to rank 2 restaurants, and once you score them, you cannot change your score. You go to the first restaurant, eat the food, and score the restaurant a 10 out of 10. The following week, you go to the second restaurant, eat the food, and the food is better than the first restaurant, so you have to score that restaurant 10 out of 10. Now you have a problem. If the second restaurant has better food and is a 10 out of 10, how can the first restaurant also be a 10 out of 10? The simple answer is that until you ate at the second restaurant, your score for the first restaurant was correct. But once you ate at the second restaurant, you realized the food at the first restaurant either wasn't a 10 out of 10 or was a 10 out of 10, but not quite at the quality of the second restaurant. But if you can't change your score, the first and second restaurant appear to be of equal quality. I believe this same phenomenon happens during the dunk contest. Judges sometimes score the first dunk of a round as too high compared to what they see later in the round. To fix this, once a round is complete, I'd have the judges rank the dunks first through fourth. The average of all the judges' rankings would be how first through fourth for the round is decided. For example, if the contestants got ranked like this after a round, then the ranking would be this. Contestant 3 has the lowest ranking score, so contestant 3 would be ranked first. Contestant 4 has the highest ranking score, so contestant 4 would be ranked fourth. And then this is how I would assign bonus points based on the results. First would get an extra half point, second would get 0.25 points, third would get a 1/10 of a point, and fourth would receive no bonus. I believe this would put pressure on the dunkers to attempt their best dunks rather than saving their best dunks for later. If you can get bonus points for better dunks, why wouldn't you try your craziest dunks? It would make for a more exciting dunk contest. There are some limitations to this specific proposal. It's a little confusing and would take fans some time to understand it. I mean, I wrote it and even I had to do a double take a few times. There's also the potential for score manipulation, but I don't believe that there is any more risk of manipulation than a regular dunk contest. I'm going to provide a real life example of how this would work. I stated how I would assign bonus points, half a point for first, a quarter of a point for second, etc. But in the finals between the last two competitors, the bonus points would change. After each competitor dunked, the judges would rank the dunks. The higher dunk would get a single bonus point rather than a half a point. Why would I do this? Let's flash back to 2020. Remember when the judges had an agreement to give Aaron Gordon the necessary score to tie Derrick Jones Jr.'s score, but D Wade was sneaky and gave Aaron Gordon a 9, meaning Derrick Jones Jr. won the dunk contest? If we had bonus points, even if Wade gave Aaron Gordon a 9 and ranked Derrick Jones Jr.'s dunk below Aaron Gordon's, if the other judges ranked Aaron Gordon's dunk above Derrick Jones Jr.'s, Aaron Gordon would have received a bonus point. Tying Derrick Jones Jr. and the dunk contest would have continued, giving Aaron Gordon another shot to win a dunk contest. A lot of people say he won anyway. Some might argue against this change. I do see the limitations and this will sound weird, but not all dunks that are 50s are created equally. Some 50 dunks are better than other 50 dunks, but that doesn't mean that the lower 50 dunk isn't a 50. A lot of dunk scores are relative to a player's ability. I believe we need a scoring system that differentiates how good one 50 dunk is relative to another. One way to not even have bonus points come into play would be to have the judges score each dunk but not have the score revealed until the end of the round. That way judges couldn't be influenced by what score they see from their fellow judges. Boxing and UFC do this and it definitely has mixed results. I'm also not sure that it would work for the dunk contest because people like seeing dunks scored immediately. Switching to a UFC style method might take some of the allure out of the dunk contest. Alright, now for the actual All-Star game. I changed the All-Star game format to a tournament style. Each team is composed of 5 players and 1 coach, and the tournament would be set up this way. In the first round, the highest vote getters team is the 1 seed versus the 6th highest vote getters team, the 6th seed. And the 2nd seed would play the 5th seed, and the 3rd seed would play the 4th seed. The teams will play to 24 with no game clock, but with a shot clock. Unless that's determined to be too many points, then they'll play to 16 because 24 minus 8 equals 16 for Kobe. The 2 teams that score 24 or 16 the fastest will get buys in the next round. So say the 1 seed and the 4 seed score 24 the fastest, they would get buys in the second round. In the second round, the team that won in the first round without securing a bye will play the lowest remaining seed, and the 2 other seeds would play each other. For example, if the 1 seed, 2 seed, and 4 seed all won, but the 1 and 4 seed were the fastest to get to 24 points, then the 1 seed and the 4 seed would get buys in the second round, while the 2 seed would play the 6 seed and the 3 seed would play the 5 seed. In round 3, the 1 seed would play the lowest remaining seed, and the 4 seed would play the other team. Then the championship game will be played between the last 2 remaining teams, and they must play to a score of 24 in remembrance of the Black Mamba. This change would hopefully bring some competitiveness back to the All-Star game and give fans a chance to see more players in the All-Star game, because the amount of actual game time they would have to play would be less than the actual All-Star game format. And the players who don't get to play as much in the current All-Star game format would get more visibility and playtime. There are some limitations to this proposal as well. Last year it was cool to see Jaylen Brown go up against Jason Tatum. This new style of All-Star game might make it so we wouldn't see them compete against each other, but think about how funny social media would be if Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown couldn't advance to the next round of the All-Star game tournament to play against one another. The Celtics locker room trash talk would be hilarious, and I already know RDC would come up with one of the greatest skits of all time. Do you like any of these potential changes? Do you hate them? If you could change NBA All-Star Weekend, what changes would you make? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for your time.